Yo guys, what up? It is Thursday night and we are back painting Ragnar Blackmane. This guy, absolute beast mode, and tonight we're going to be starting work on the beast. We'll be painting that wolf. How you all doing? Who's been doing some hobby, if anyone? First thing to do is find out which bits actually have wolf pelts on. Now we've got a little bit just here. We've got quite a lot of it in there, and we've got a little bit just here as well. I'm going to do this all like the box art. So, who we got in the chat? Ventress, Brom, Crooked Grin, Hertus, Chimo, Milo Splat, DK, Snake, Pliskin, Viking, Twilight Walker, and Draco. How you folks all doing? Right. Unfortunately, tonight's stream may be a little short. We'll see how we go. Unfortunately, yesterday I had a migraine. Today, I'm still feeling the sort of after effects of that. And I very nearly didn't stream tonight, but I realised that we had, at least once in the last sort of month, had a point where I hadn't streamed and thought, I really don't want to have another day where we don't. So we're going to give it a go, and if we only do an hour, we do an hour. If we do the full length of the stream, we do the full length of the stream, and that's just the way it is. Ragnar, how's it going? Milo, I'm glad. I sort of double A and I'm like, do we just like go for it? It's alright, it happens. I get them usually about once every 9 months or so. Occasionally I get 2 in a year, which it's just one of those things. Yeah, let's move on. So, how are we going to paint the doggo? Well, I can tell you now, one of the things we're going to be doing is using the airbrush to paint the doggo. Now, there's going to be some crazy mofo in the chat there going, but, it's got red on it. I know it's got red on it. Don't you worry. Remember, when we do airbrushing, it's all about the accuracy. And there's going to be somebody there going, but the red is finished. Well, the red is not finished. All we've done with that red is give it an airbrush. That's it. That's all we've done. We airbrushed this bit under here. We airbrushed all of this bit. Obviously, we've done a fair bit of work on this. We've actually got some finished parts of the model right here. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can still airbrush. Still airbrush. How do we protect ourselves though from overspray? Because whilst we haven't done things like shadows and highlights on this cloak, I do still want to make sure that we retain as much of the red that we've got without having to do any cover-ups. So we grab some paint. I've got Xandri Dust, we've got the usual P3 Menoth White and Highlight. Love using those as bone colours. We've got Katashan Flesh we're going to be using because we're going to paint the doggo exactly the same as G-Dubs did it right here. So there he is. Good old Raggy. Which means we've got that kind of mid-tone brown to a little bit darker in the very recesses on the dog, up to that nice bright colour at the foreground. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So we're going to start out by painting everything in a mid-tone. That's what we're going to use this Xandri Dust for. Now this isn't, I'm not going to lie, it's not a very nice colour. I really don't like it at all, but you're never going to see it. So, it doesn't matter. I know a lot of people rave about this pigment, but it just looks super drab. Now maybe that's what you want. Maybe you're painting some like guardsmen or something and they just need to have like that tan uniform. But question, do you stream models on this stream? This kind of model, yes. Something that's slim in some places and not in others, no. If you're looking for that kind of model, wrong stream. Possibly wrong platform. So let's thin this down just a little bit. And then on stuff like this, we're just going to paint the whole thing because we may as well. And this being a base coat paint from GW, it's normally a little bit thick, so add in a little extra bit of water should you need to. It's going to help us out in a minute where we are going to be using it to cover over some very, very dark colours. Not wrong platform. I mean, you know, there are definitely some models on Twitch. We won't talk about them. So, while I start getting the base coat down for all of this, which is not necessarily the most interesting part of the stream, we'll start talking a little bit about what's going on soon. Most of you guys will know this already. But on Indomitus launch weekend, we are painting the entirety of 2 minis. Somebody thought I was going to sit a box. It was definitely not going to sit a box. We've done speed painting, but hell no. Hell no. But we're going to paint the entirety of 2 models. These 2 models were chosen by the community in a straw poll. And you guys decided that we're going to paint the Judicia and we're going to paint the Scorpeth Lord. Now, these are 2 of my favourite minis in that box, so I am well up for painting these things. However, we still need to know how to paint them. Now, we've got 2 polls going. Exclamation point Judy to get access to one, and exclamation point score to get access to the other one. Head there, vote for the colour schemes that you would like to see. So that's Judy, Judi, and score, SKOR. Just pop that command in chat, you'll get a little link. Head over to straw poll. Let's see where everybody is right now. So we've got Judicia, rather, and Scorpeth Lord. Now, I haven't voted in either one of these. I'm keeping my vote for the swing vote should we have a tie, but I'd like it to be as community-driven as possible. So currently, this is very close now. For the Judicia, we have Ultramarines in the lead by 1 point. 1 point. Now, if you would like me to paint the Judicia as an Ultramarine and then have a chance of winning that Ultramarine, then go ahead, get into the straw poll and vote for Ultramarine if you haven't already. But if you guys are sat there going, look, I don't want no goddamn Smurf. I want to win this, and I want it to be another chapter. We've got Dank Angles right up there at the top. Black Templars coming in 3rd, and Sons of Medusa, my favourite, hanging in there in spot number 4. If you want one of those chapters to be in with a chance of winning, head on over and vote for those. Now, you can vote for more than one, so you could vote for everything but an Ultramarine if you wanted to. Equal opportunity hating on the Smurfs. It's totally fine. But you do you. For the Scorpeth Lord, the current dynasty in the lead by only 1 vote. This is the one that I wanted to paint, so I'm hoping we get another vote or 2. See when you can start making alt accounts, right? But don't do that, seriously. I think I've turned off all that sort of shit, so you can't anyway. In the lead by 1 vote, Gypsy Dangercrons. What is a Gypsy Dangercron? Well, if you haven't seen Pacific Rim, get on it. That is a quality movie. I love that shit. Gigantic robots, battering, big old beasties. What is not to love about that film? And that is the current #1 choice in this poll. Ooh, by 2 votes now. Yes. Yes. I'll have to reattach this cloak in a minute. It's just fallen off of the stick. So we're going to paint the Necron, currently, like Gypsy Danger. Gypsy Danger was the main mech in the film. The one that the good guys had. And it's fucking cool, man. It's absolutely super, super sick. It's like a nice blue with some red and white bits on. I made it sound a lot like Optimus Prime there, but I promise you, it just looks badass. Coming in second is the Lozacrons, or the got fucked up at a 90s Ravecrons. These are an interesting paint scheme. A very, very interesting paint scheme. basically black with a load of Tron-esque pinks and greens and blues going on all over. They're very cool. But I really, really want to paint that Gypsy Danger Cron. So, let's see. Let's see what we end up with. You've got till Sunday to get your vote in. After Sunday, the next poll up will be how we're going to base them. That will be one basing scheme for both. So we'll have to try and come up with some suggestions that will fit both the Scorpeth Lord and the Judicia. And then on release weekend, starting at 10 a.m. Saturday morning, we'll be sitting down, painting them both. We'll have a raffle going on. The winner, the first place prize, they get to choose which one they want. Then not only do they win that particular mini that we just spent all weekend painting, but they also win the rest of that faction brand new on sprue to start their own force with. The second place prize gets the other one. That simple. We've even got a third place prize in there as well, just for one lucky runner-up. Didn't quite make the cut for the big boy prize. There's plenty to play for. Last time we did something like this, we ended up with 7 prizes as well. So who knows? It could be another one of those weekends. Could be. So let's see what we missed in chat. Snake said it looks like it won't be pre-ordering the box set on Saturday. Unlucky, dude. Blue Eyed and Fury says playing Grey Knights because my crons haven't arrived yet. Well, they haven't quite been finished yet. As we explained at the very, very top of the stream, we unfortunately had a migraine this week. And we're going to stream for as long as we feel we can this evening. So it may not even be for the full time. But your crons will be all tucked up on Saturday. And then I will ship them as soon as you pay me, motherfucker. Milo Splat, yes, by the way, we do have a work in progress gallery at the very end of the stream. Possibly not tonight again, but we'll see. I think I've got everything else. Joke aside, first test game of 9th is fun. Yes. Yes, it is. I played Jake. I had a great game against him. Love the Russia on Chino Alpha. Chino Alpha was cool. I like the fact it just had massive fists. And then a load of rockets. That was just absolutely sick. But Gypsy Danger, that's the one, man. That is the one. Lots of play crons, bad influence from Chris. I think Chris is a bad influence in general. But I also think that I'm a bad influence in general. And so therefore I can't hate on him for it. Nothing wrong with being a bad influence. Just be a good bad influence. You know, don't half-ass it. Mears Black, yes, exclamation point Discord, head into the work in progress gallery, and then we will probably still do a work in progress community whip spotlight at the very end of the stream. Can we get Optimus Prime crons? No, man. No, I had to pick the most badass mech that was piloted by a person, clearly. And pop that in there. And that's what we ended up with. Amberdern, how you doing, man? Awesome. So glad. And Archon Castles, what up? Need to get your voting going on, Brett, if you haven't already. How's it going? Archon Castles has been playing around with new GW paints. The Contrast OSL. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was an okay looking effect for just some pigment out of a pot. Can't see me being super sold on that at all. But it did look good, man. Considering that mini took you, what, an hour? That was solid. Right, so we are just getting all these little bits of fur around the edge. Now, why aren't we painting the rest of it? Well, there's going to be no point because we're going to airbrush all that. We did just unfortunately get a little bit of Xandri dust on its cape, so we're just trying to remove as much of that from the top as we can. The rest of it we just hide with shadow. A little bit of dust, a little bit of dirt. It's all totally fine. We've just got this one stripe up this side of his cloak left to do, and then may as well paint top section here, and we're golden. Now on this one, we don't need to do anything because this guy is in sub-assemblies, and so therefore that is away from the Mini. Nice for eye glows. Yeah. I mean, you say don't know what you expect from straight from the pot job. I expect a result very much inferior to the one that you got. But when a client says, oh, can you make this glow? I'm going to make it glow. I'm not going to reach for that pot. Oh, dude, thank you for the follow. Conradson, how's it going? And thank you very much. Painting doggos. So when you get the airbrush out all around this red in a minute. Done a lot of streams recently on how to control your airbrush, how to make sure that you are accurate, on point. I think it's safe to say we've got BS2 plus when it comes to airbrush. And we're re-rolling ones. And we don't take negatives to hit. Well, maybe we take negatives to hit. Yeah, we do take negatives to hit. Peckish, what up, dude? This Mini is being painted for Peckish. Another great streamer here on Twitch. Let's give him some love in the channel. Because he won it. He won this Mini last month. Every single month, we do 2 giveaways. Every month. At least 2. On the last stream day of the month, which this month, I've got a suspicion it's something like the 29th. No, it's the 30th again. Thursday the 30th. Thursday night giveaway stream. It's good. It's good. Exclamation point mystery. Exclamation point whip. Not whip. Win. Exclamation point win. We'll get a little bit more detail about both of those things. Now in the mystery section, tells you that you will know what 2 of the minis are. Now we know that the mystery box itself was not picked last time, which is a shame because I was really looking forward to painting what was in it. And Peckish instead wanted Ragnar. Okay, that's fine. You want Ragnar? We'll give you Ragnar. No issue. Just gonna get the underside of these little doggo hairs. Mostly as a base coat for when we start applying our highlights. We're absolutely not going to try airbrushing those. Might have that Ballistic Skill 2 plus, but we expect you to reach that pot with a £400 airbrush setup. Dude, I could do that effect with the like 60 quid airbrush setup that I used to have. But yes, absolutely. I am not the intended market for that product. That being said, we'll probably still get it and play around with it a little bit, because what's the worst, right? We might find something we can use it for. I doubt it'll be glowing green bases. Smashed that one the other day. How about cracked black earth, lava rocks, odd coloured plants, and spoopy crystals? Is this suggestions for the basing scheme? Mate, it's going to need to be simple by that point. Because I know we did the big stream, smashed out an entire Nurgle Demon Horde army in a weekend. 118 models, fully painted and based in 35 hours. That was impressive. I know we did the entire Chaos Knight, start to finish, one weekend. that was amazing. That was our stream's birthday stream. So 1 year anniversary. Like, damn, that was cool. There he is, right there, just below me. Beautiful, beautiful mini. Loved that guy. Great time painting him. But that was also maybe slightly ambitious. Painting 2 minis to character standard in 2 days on stream, I think that is probably the biggest challenge that we've had so far. Genuinely, I do. Right, gonna wait for this bit of super glue to dry. And we get our airbrush set up. Now, a couple of things. We're talking about being accurate with your airbrush. The most important thing about being accurate with your airbrush is, of course, making sure the damn thing is always clean. Whenever you finish a session, whenever you finish with the airbrush for the day, break it down, clean it properly, reassemble it, and then don't. Everyone does this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Because this is normally full of gunk and water, which, especially during the summer, will evaporate. And your nozzle, just in here, is usually made of brass. That'll rust. So just hang your airbrush up. That's it. So make sure everything is clean. To be precise, you need to make sure everything is in good working order. If you've got airbrush lube, yes, that exists. And it's just for your airbrush. If you've got airbrush lube, you use it. Make sure things like your trigger are lubricated. Every now and again, make sure your threads are well lubricated. It's often a fucking good idea to make sure that you are also well lubricated. So that's tip 1. Make sure all your tools are ready to go. Step 2. Flow improver. If they could do like gallon jugs of this, I'd just buy that, keep refilling this. It'd be cheaper than buying the amount of this that I go through, I'm sure. That's step 2. You're going to want a lot of this. Pumpkin Pirate was brilliant. Yes, it was. Omnisire, how you doing? That's and Des says, I can confirm when airbrushing, more pressure is definitely better. Are you actually putting your airbrush on that 100 PSI monster? Des is compressor blew out, so he's currently using one that he's used for construction. Why not? Brilliant. Yeah, KY Mud. Why not? Did a rocky alien planet set from Star Trek The Next Generation. Isn't that like red mud and some... Lordy! How you doing, man? 7 months, dude. Damn. Thank you very much for that sub, dude. How you doing? Let's just lay on the most verdant green and sprinkling the best emerald flock money can buy and finish off with a light dusting of yellow. Classic, timeless, beautiful, never happening. Ever. Does flow improver work for cleaner as well? Don't use it for cleaner, that's not what it's for. It's a drying retarder and water. So it's there to help keep your paint wetter for longer. Make as many jokes about that as you'd like. It's okay. But just water is fine to clean it most of the time. I run a little bit of airbrush cleaner through every now and again if I've been using something pretty nasty, like obviously things like varnish. I just realised we didn't paint the other side of that, but we'll do that when we get the highlights on. So we're making sure we just go down from the top. We're working very far away from the mini. We're at about 4 inches. Making sure that everything is nice and diffuse by the time it hits the mini. Plenty of air pressure, tiny amount of paint, and we're just sort of dusting the Mini at this stage. It's going to take several coats to put up a nice strong layer of this. And again, we're making sure that while we're coming down from the top, there's none of that going to appear underneath here on that red. Demon Draco says, what PSI should I use for my minis? Well, I run my compressor at the absolute maximum it will go at, which is 45 PSI. Which means currently the hose is 45 PSI, and it gives you loads of control once you get used to it. So I recommend that all the time. But I also recommend that people spend the time learning to control that trigger so that you're adjusting the amount of paint. Matty! How you doing, dude? Coming in with a raid. Let's get some hype in the stream for Matt Yee. How's it going, man? How was your stream? What did you get up to? Let me give you a follow. I don't follow you at the moment. I've got a suspicion. Do you recognize that face? No, I don't recognize that. You look exactly like a friend of mine. You look exactly like a friend of mine. Said twice. Why not? There you go, mate. There's a follow for you. Let's get a shout out for Matt Yee. What were you up to this evening? So, what were we talking about? We're talking about airbrush pressures. Go full on. Just learn to control your trigger as far as your paint goes. Obviously, eventually, make sure you learn to control the trigger for how much air you're putting out. Otherwise, just buy a single action airbrush. There's no point in a dual action at that stage. But definitely, dude, thank you for that follow. Stream was great. I was painting a coconut crab turret. Oh, nice, man. They always look cool, but I'm always scared that someone's going to ask me to paint one like that because it seems like a lot of work. And potentially a really good way of ruining a brush as well. All those dots. If you want to show it off, then exclamation point Discord. Go join the community over there. And then pop that work in the work in progress channel. And then later on, as long as we make it that far, we will showcase it to our community here as well. So they can see what you got up to. What we're doing at the moment, for those that have just come in, is we are painting some of Ragnar. I love using the airbrush. Even when we've already done a load of work on and around the area we're going to airbrush anyway. Flexing those airbrush muscles to make sure we're always being accurate. Always need that practice. So what we've done, just to catch you folk up, we've taken our cloak, we've painted just around the outsides with the Zandri dust that we're using as a base coat. Now we're airbrushing everything else. We could have just painted it, I'm well aware of that. We're going to get to an airbrush step later on where we start bringing in those darker tones on the cloak. And I really want to use the airbrush for that because we're going to get them nice and softly blended in. Give us a much better progression. Then we're going to get some washes going on. Some good highlights. And we're away. Now you'll notice that there's some parts of this mini that we haven't painted. Oh, rats. I'm going to have to blue type this guy. That super glue is not doing me any favours right now. And that's because we knew we'd be doing this step. I'm doing again the overspray. Now here is where it's going to get difficult. Let me explain something to you guys here. Grab a brush. To get to this area with the airbrush, you need to spray pretty much straight downwards. Because of that, and because we've got this rippled surface, we're going to be very, very prone to spider webbing, especially using high pressure. So, this is one of those times where you do need to moderate your pressure a little bit, because otherwise you will run into issues with your paint go in places you don't want it to. And I am going to just remove this from this little stick. I'm going to get some blue tack on there, because otherwise this is going to go horribly wrong. It's a good place to ask. I'm failing with 40k and I'm having issues with cutting out the models from Spirit times. The gates and tricky places, top, middle of the jump pack. Any tips or tricks on how to deal with these? Generally cut to leave a bit of plastic to avoid stressing the plastic. Good hobby knife. Sometimes not too easy, or I'll cut too deep and create an uneven surface. It drives me nuts so I can't see it. So I do the same thing. I trim away from the joint in the model and then I just slice that off with a hobby knife. The trick to it is essentially just like shaving. Just put it as flat to the surface as you can and just glide across it. The next thing to do, and this is something I recommend everybody get, this is a sanding twig. You can get them in a load of different grits, so the amount of like bits of abrasive material per square of whatever. That one, which I use a lot, is something like 1,000 grit, I want to say. But they're super easy to get. They're not always cheap. Like, they can cost. But they're also super good to have because you're always going to get a nice smooth joint. Let's say you've got a joint right in the middle of the shoulder pad. And for those of you thinking, why would Games Workshop do such a thing? I hope you're not buying a new box set. Let's say there's a joint right here. If you try and get a blade and shave down the shoulder pad to a nice round state, it's going to be really difficult. At that point, you're sculpting, right? But if you take one of those flexible sanding twigs and just keep sort of filing away at the sort of raised area, you'll evenly smooth that out. Won't be an issue for you. Fineness of sand grain. Yeah, which again equals like the amount of particulate that you get per square inch or whatever. I went about it in a cack-handed way, but we still got the same information. Okay, so just get in here, a touch as well. A little bit. In the back. So we've just gone through all of that. Well, why have we bothered doing all that? We could have painted it, we could have thrown some washes at it, and so on and so on. Blah. It's because this next step we're going to do the airbrush anyway, so we may as well start there. Hope my sand twigs and plastic putty arrive around the same time as Indomitus. Oh yes. Oh yes, you're going to need them. They are minis that are designed, obviously, at a cost, because they go in a massive box set, which is going up for not a lot of money, let's be honest. Considering what you get in that box, yeah, that's the same price as 2 start collecting boxes, where you'd normally get a unit of infantry, an elite unit or a transport. So maybe you'd get, I don't know, a dreadnought, you get a Lehman Russ, maybe you get, I don't know, a Taurox, yeah, and then 1 HQ. So it gives you basically a dude, a unit, and a thing. Well, that means you'd get 2 HQs, where in the box there are 1, 2, 3, 4 Marine ones. The Captain, the Banner Dude, the Judicia, the Chaplain. There's probably another one in there as well. I can't remember it. But you're going to get that. Plus then you're getting several units of dudes. Plus you're getting the bikes. There's a lot of Marines. That's already more than 2 start collecting boxes there. And you hadn't even got to the Necrons yet. Rival Sarah. How's it going? Everyone, get some hype in the stream for Sarah. She is the lady that produced those glowing tufts that we used on our last stream. That world exclusive preview for you folk. But yeah, that box has got to be made for cost. Because it's made for cost, they've got to cut corners somewhere. They've got to fit more on the sprues, and that's why those joints may not be in the best places. There's Lieutenant as well. Bam. Is that like the 12th Primaris Lieutenant, perhaps? Who knows? Who knows? Right, let's start with the tricky bit. So here's a mini. We've basically finished painting the armor. There's no more been done with the armor. I haven't varnished it since we did that. So this is exactly as it is. I'm going to airbrush the tip of his... sorry, this is the start point of this bit of wolf tail or whatever it is that he's got attached to himself. Because it seems like a good idea. So we've got ourselves some Catachan flesh, some nice darker coloured brown, same brown we've used on his pouch here. And it come in from the side away from the rest of the armour. And we'll just start bringing in this brown. Now obviously, got to be careful. You'll notice that we didn't bother painting this bit here, which is like a little attachment, yeah, this little gold plated thing that holds his wolf tail. We haven't bothered painting the grenade, we haven't done anything with this, but we're using the same brown as that, so it doesn't really matter at all. About to call it a day in the back cave and time to chill. Nice. Nice. I'm assuming you do deserve it, Sarah. I mean, have you been working hard recently? Have you really? I mean, you did completely invent glow-in-the-dark tufts, so I guess you deserve some time off. Now we're coming in underneath. You need to be careful not to get too much on here and the butt plate. I'm really not worried about getting any on here. I'm going to paint that black. It doesn't matter. If we get too much on this, that's fine. We just come in with some of our highlight colour. Bam, bam, bam. Battle damage. It doesn't matter. God Emperor Bob, how you doing? Windy, testing his airbrush. Awesome, mate. Good luck with that. Have some fun. Looks like a good setup you bought. So here, need to be sure we're not aiming at the arm. But it's just a lot of double tapping the trigger, getting that thumb working. Apply a little bit of paint, stop. Apply a little bit of paint, stop. Rinse and repeat. Lulu, some apples. Trying to get any on the armour, but as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to just come in from the top a little bit more. Some of that, another pass, just darken it down. And there we go. Nice little blend on the dogtail. Now we've obviously got another coat of brown black that we're going to put on here. Oh, God. Styropina1. Thank you for that follow and for that very easy to read name. Loved it. How you doing, mate? Rookie Wookie, what up? Got some new face in the stream tonight. This is good. This is awesome. On this, we want the darker section of the wolf pelt to be kind of contained within this set of hairs to this set of hairs. So it's almost like there's another layer on top of. So we've got these outside ones, they'll be a nice bright blonde / bone. All of this up the middle, that's what we want to have with this first coat of brown on. So again, as before, you need to be very careful with the amount of paint that you put it down. Don't want to get any spider webs because it will just run into all the little cracks. that make up this fur. And then just carefully bring that down the length of the arm, leg, front or back part of said doggo. Okay, and you must make sure, because this is so textured, that you come in from different angles, because otherwise you're only going to get one section of it, which would be a little bit like dry brushing, which we're not going to do. I thought about dry brushing the fur, but we did a little bit of dry brushing. I showed you guys how to do that. I can put the dry brush away for the next year. We've done our duty. Shadowrunner-san, thanks for that follow and welcome to the stream. I'm good, loyal citizen, says Emperor Bob. Awesome. And Shadow Shrine as well with a follow. Yeah, lots of new guys. So if you've just arrived, my name's Jay. I run a commission painting business called Mohawkminiatures, hence the dumbass haircut. I needed a business name. This one just came to the top of my mind. The bad jokes are a fixture. So, however, though, are the giveaways that we do. Now, we discussed these earlier on. It's a little bit early to promote, but go through it anyway. Every month we give away two prizes. It's usually mini related. The first one is a £50 hobby voucher, which you can earn tickets for that entry just by watching the stream. So you rock up, we give you meeps, which are in-stream currency. You chill out, hopefully do some hobby in the background while I do some hobby up on screen. And then as a reward for being here, notice how I'm just using my finger to guard against this bit of red cape. Yeah. Just for being here, you earn the chance to win that £50 hobby voucher. What's not to like, right? As well as that, though, we give away a mini every month, painted by me in a colour scheme of the winner's choice. This was the mini from last month. Ragnar Blackmane. Hello from Germany. Guten Nacht. Wie geht's? Don't know very much more than this, so don't push it, alright? all the German words I know after that are very bad ones. Oh, it's got to kickstart the music. Yes, Ragnar was the mini that was chosen. Now, exclamation point mystery in the chat for a little bit more information on that. We will give away a choice of 3 minis. The winner gets to pick the one that they like the most. It just so happened that this time around, Ragnar was the mini that was chosen. It could have been either Ragnar, what was the other mini? The Genius of the Cult Abominant, or the contents of our mystery box. And then that box could be anything. So far, the box has yielded an Eldar Wraith Lord, though, which was a lot of fun to paint. Really enjoyed painting. Now that was a Fish, long-standing community member. But the box was not opened last month, so whatever went in it last month, whatever I chose to put in, still remains in the box. This month, we know that that box is there, so we know that's one prize. Not that anyone knows what's in it. Nobody knows what's in it. But not only do we have that box, we've got our first mini that we've selected from the collection behind me to go into our giveaway, and that is the Blood Bowl Minotaur. Now, I love this model. This is a super, super sick mini. There's loads of skin tones to work with on this guy. There's some really nice, very simple armor plates you can definitely get some detail going on with. You could use this guy for Blood Bowl, obviously, Sigmar, D&D, any kind of fantasy-style game. I'm sure you can find a reason why you'd want this guy in your team. This looks awesome. The mystery box, however, also looks awesome. It's a very, very cool box that we've got here. Somewhere in this old cigar box, there is a mini. There might be other things in there as well, but there's definitely something in there. I'm not sure. There's a rattle. That might be like a flying base. I don't know. Now it just sounds like sprue. So it could be something on sprue still. Could be something with a flying base. What cool stuff has flying bases? Is there anything cool that's got a flying base? There's got to be at least one thing cool with a flying base, right? A mantra. A mantra is a thing you say. It's not a mini. I don't know what you're talking about. Potato flyer. Good old space potato. How have they done the head on this mini? We can't see it from that angle. Okie doke. Let's go to G-Dub's website instead. Of course he's not bloody out. Is it something in the wolf? Wolfsbane? No. God, in the search of GW website for wolf. Prophecy of the Wolf. That was it. I knew it was going to be about 1 million Space Wolf things just show up because of the word wolf in the title. But here we go. Got a 360 spinny view of Raggy, and they did... Oh, that's cool. So let's flick the screens over. They did it with a darker head, so light around the eyes and around the sort of top of its jawline, but the line down to its nose, nice and dark. So, that's what we're going to do. Which means at the top of his head, let's get the brown going on there. As before, because we've got so much texture, so many little valleys that the paint can go and flow into, you need to be certain that when we're putting the paint down, we're only allowing the smallest amount of paint to come out of the brush onto the mini. Take your time, do several passes, build it up nice and slow. How do they do his ears? His ears are dark as well on the outside, so cool. And then on the top of his nose, that needs to be dark as well. Tower drone. It could be a single drone. You're right. It could be just one drone. One sneaky boy. That could be it. Thunderhawk. Oh, it's definitely a Thunderhawk. Probably not a Thunderhawk. I mean, I showed you the size of the box it fits in. I thought the dumbest suggestion would be from Viking. I was proven correct. Nothing happened there to change my mind on that that hypothesis. He thought it was a saying. I mean, wow. We won't be a Helldrake. Fuck Helldrakes. Fuck them right in their eyeball. Both times. Doing the main black. We're doing his hair black because we're painting it the same way as GW's picture. But the doggo, they've gone a little bit more brown into a very, very, very dark brown, which in some angles on this does look a little black. So we're going to be putting a nice wash on that will just darken down a lot of those recesses. The game is Stuka. Space Wars are an awesome chapter. They're cool, man. They're cool. Speaking of black, though, I'm going to mix them into our brown. So we're going to start building that nice dark shade to some of this fur. So, a little bit of black in. And I'm just going to go and work inside that bit of brown that we've just laid down. So, still painted with brown, which is in a very, very dark brown now. Can't wait for Jay to give away the Warlord Titan, not Titanicus, in a mystery box. Dude, if it'll fit in the mystery box, it's eligible for the mystery box. You guys know I like painting giant stompy robots. That's all I'm saying. Could be anything in that damn box. Let's go back to this one, the easy bit. So, starting right up here towards the little metal fastener that he's got. You can start building up that darker, very desaturated, almost black. What have we got going on here? So, as always, this is all about control. Just make sure that your brush has the smallest possible amount of paint coming through it. You'll be fine. Remember, we've painted the entirety of this guy's armor. His armor is finished. We really don't want to get any on there. But what we do want is a really nice blend. Keep it looking really natural on the fur. That's what we're doing. By the time we get a wash on there, gonna look perfect. Let's go back to this. As before, keeping this on the inside set of hairs. But unlike before, we're not going to go quite as far down. So I want this to be contained a little bit more towards the shoulder of the wolf. As it gets darker up the animal, essentially, that's what we're going for. Here we are. See how we're getting that nice, very natural light through the mid-tone into the dark tone now. Let's grab this next bit. Let's work on the inside of the cape first. Right up here towards his back. Mostly hidden by the backpack, so it should be darker anyway from a perspective of there's less light being allowed to get to this section of the mini. That down. Let's start building this into the middle of his back. Dry it down just with some air from the airbrush. So we're not using a hairdryer, we're just using this. cut into little pieces. It could be, man. We've got a Go-Go Gadget shrink ray out. Suddenly, it's a Warlord Titan. You've rumbled it. What can I say? Too smart, guys. Too smart. Just making sure we cover all the angles for this. I don't want to end up with any weird highlights in there that shouldn't be. It's looking good. Now we'll do the arm. So again, we're just going to cover up using our finger the part of the cloak that we don't want to get painted. Same as on the other arm slash leg. Just get it in there towards the shoulder joint. Then on the face. Towards the top of the head. Now, there's going to be a few people question, why didn't you just paint it all dark brown to begin with? Yeah. Well, mostly animals have got a very varied set of colours in their fur. Like my cat Meep, she looks black and white, but she isn't. She's brown and white. Just got to get her in the right light, and it looks very, very dark, rich, sort of chocolate brown, not black. But in normal daylight, normal indoor light in the day, she looks black. I didn't want the wolf to be two-tone. That's why we've gone through that brown. That's why we're still not working with actual black, even now. That's why we've got all those browns mixed in. It's going to give us that variation. It's going to add a little extra bit of detail. Paint its nose. Cool beans. So that's looking pretty tidy. If we pop back over to this, still a lot of difference between my dog and there. That's because we haven't worked our highlights in yet. All we've done so far is get the shadows laid in over that base coat of Xandri dust. Now I'm going to build that Xandri dust back up to that nice bright bone, just like they've done. If we go around the front, you can see a much. Whoops, didn't want to do that. We want to do. Well, what the fuck? There you go, like so. So same as the box art. That nice bright bone-coloured set of fur. That's what we're aiming for. So, just flush all this through the airbrush. This is Kets! Yo, dude! My stuff finally arrived, I can finally paint now. Awesome, man. Awesome. Most people should have got their static grass tufts and stuff now as well. I'm not going to lie, I still have 2 there to send out. They'll be going hopefully tomorrow. Along with Fish, if you're in the chat, finally. Finally, your Wraith Lord. That has taken ages to ship. Part of that is my fault, in terms of taking forever to get the fucking camera to start playing ball so I can actually take good photos. But part of that is just the fact that I'd get to the post office and see this massive, massive line of people. And I'm not standing in this. So we invested in a anti-corona mask, obviously. I think that's about the best way you could call one of them horrible, shitty face masks. And that's what we'll wear if we get into the post office, just in case. Right, we'll dry this down. Then we start highlighting. Yeah. Actually, we can't start highlighting. We'll wash the pot on first. Don't want to do that after the highlights. That'll be a mistake. So, and then it's all matted down. It's not quite so glossy. You can see that for what it's worth. Nice looking doggo so far. Boom, boom. So, washes. What can we do? Let's go with strong tone mixed with dark tone again. We did this recently on something else. Oh, actually, no. Let's do an even bigger brain play. Let's not do that. Let's pop you to one side, ready to be cleaned later. Also picked up FRL Stern and the other one, Kai Ganil. They're so cool. They are cool minis. I quite like the new Inquisitor. I do. She's a bit weird. And I think that they've not done the best job of painting her face. It just looks very featureless. But it's a cool mini. It's a very cool mini. Right. So, big brain play. We're going to thin down, if I get some water on the palette, both of our dark tone and strong tone. Then we're going to wet blend them, because that seems like the better idea. So, got a little strong tone. Got a little dark tone. Kodak, what up, man? It's almost back to its former glory. This all needs a trim. That was meant to happen. Well, probably it was meant to happen on Friday actually, but it just got postponed. And then, unfortunately, like I said earlier on, we had that migraine. It's definitely not going to happen. I'm not. If I'm honest, I'm not loving having headphones on right now, but you know. So we put on our strong tone all around this. We haven't done the underside. We'll do that as part of a highlight, just in full. Then we'll grab our dark tone while that's still wet. Brush that on this part of the mini. So dark tone is basically black wash. As far as I'm concerned, this is a much better version of Nuln Oil. And we'll apply it to all the areas where we want the super dark hair to be, but we'll also then just feather it out just a touch into some of those other regions to help show that the wolf's fur doesn't just blend from one to the other, it sort of is mottled in and out. Is that Army Pet Strong Tone? Yes, it is, sir. I wouldn't say they've got a habit of painting faces badly, because quite a lot of their stuff still looks good. Sometimes they have an issue with the casting of it, I think, like the actual creation of the sculpting is what I'm trying to get to. For instance, the Forge-Rod Primarchs do not look good in my opinion. At all. Sanguinius has got an okay face. But then if you look at something like Fulgrim that looks like he stepped on a Lego, like, it's just bad. It's just terrible bad. Angron, I mean, that's not good sculpt at all. But it's difficult to sculpt female faces. In turn for almost all of the minis that you see like box art for are prototype minis. That's for anyone that didn't know that's a known fact. That's just the way it is. Nothing wrong with that. They've got to get their paint on, you know. You get about 6 weeks to paint a box. when it comes out. Obviously, I want to make sure that's done well in advance so photos can be taken, so they can be sent off to codexes made, so they can get things like your boxes printed and so on, shipped from wherever in the world they may come from, probably China, over to Nottingham, where obviously most of our minis are made. There's some bits that get made in China, like the Aeronautica bases, they get made there, a couple of little bits and pieces. So they've got to get all that shit done well in advance, and so it makes more sense for them to have the prototype and paint that, which looks identical to the cast, than wait for ages to paint the cast. You know? Tigurius is bad because he's having a shit. Yeah, but I mean, you've seen the old Finecast one. This is still better. Like, Ragnar's face is a good marine face. A lot of expression. Looks quite feral. So it fits like his own personal needs as well. I like it, it's good. Katishan Colonel's face. That dude has got a super, super sweet sculpt for his face. I mean, it's motherfucking Apollo Creed. That helps, but, you know. Stepping on a Lego, can confirm, very painful. However, to anyone that played Second Dead 40k as a kid, stepping on a Gretchen, I'll see you're stepping on a Lego and raise you. When you step on a Lego, it's unpleasant. You know, you get that definite, like, oh, something's wrong kind of feeling. And you know that what you've done is very bad for you. When you step on a Gretchen, there's every chance that it will actually just impale halfway through your foot. Not all the way. The little point would snap off at that point. You'd end up with half a Gretchen's head in your foot. But you're going to end up with part of that Gretchen in you. That's worse than stepping on a Lego. So again, as we just did, lay down a load of the brown, that strong tone from Ryan Painter, then start popping in dark tone, get it laid down on all of the darker areas, and then just feather it out, let it have a bit of a play with some of that strong tone. Don't go wild, and if you do, just sort of bring your brush in, soak some of it up, drag it away. We've got this recess, for instance. Let's get a load of it in there, darken that down a bit. Just got the top of the wolf to do. Then we'll dry this one down. A bit more strong tone on the palette as well. Gee, I don't get how you can paint for a job and do freehand. I'm trying to do shoulder pads and I want to die. What are you trying to paint, Smithy? Break it down, brother. Like, the reason I can paint as a commission painter and offer freehand as one of my services for like simple freehand is because of what I charge people for. At that point, you're like, it's okay. It's okay. I feel alright doing this. This is sapping every inch of my will, but money, 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 money. Money. It's all worth it in the end. Everything you do as a painter, you have like this takes this much time, therefore it takes this much work. Now, that being said, because I'm still learning freehand, it comes cheaply. You know, if you want me to freehand something, we'll go for it. You know, I think I'll do a decent job of it, but the price does go up a little bit. It just doesn't go up as much as it would do if you went a artist like, say, Richard Gray, who is very known for unbelievable freehand. Who else is known for quality freehand? Let's see. No, I actually can't think of anybody. My brain isn't working so well this evening. Clone Trooper shoulder pads are about 4 million by 5. Okay. Shadow Shrine getting his sub going on. Dude. Thank you very much, man. So that now lets you be eligible to enter our free mini giveaway at the end of the month. That's the 30th day of this month, last stream day of the month. You could win a mini painted by me now, mate. Who knows? It also gives you 3,000 meeps. Try and win that hobby voucher. I think last month's hobby voucher basically bought somebody in the gash. I think they're about £3 shy. So, fair play. That's a nice prize. It's like, oh, I just chilled out, watched this dude stream, and basically won the gash. Yeah. What's the giveaway this month? Well, the mystery box is still in play. Nobody picked the mystery box this time. The first mini that you guys know about, the second one, unveiled on Sunday, is this Blood Bowl Minotaur. So that's up for grabs as well, and I cannot state enough times how much I love this sculpt. It's such a cool mini. Such a cool mini. Right, is there anything else that we need to do with the fur? No. So let's dry all this down, get that trusty hairdryer, and then we can start doing some highlights. If I'm honest, we might be calling the stream soon. Because damn. You want the Blood Bowl Minotaur? Well, get yourself in the gathering for next month, man. Or this month, rather. It's up for grabs. You could win it. But then you could choose what's in the mystery box. Or you could choose our as yet unveiled mini as well. I'm still trying to decide what it will be. It might be something that you guys have seen before. It might not be. It might be something completely new. Fair dues, man. If I'm honest, I don't know if it's going to be tonight. I'm kind of dying of death right now. I need to use this, but the noise is not good for me. So what we'll do is we'll get the highlights laid down on the fur, just so you guys can see how we'd have done the fur. And I might do this bit. It's the really interesting bit. Alright, let's just fucking man up and do it. So, mouth white base from P3. Peckish, that's very, very noble of you. So this is one of the absolute best colours. Between this and the highlight version of it, Mouth White Highlight, I use them in almost every single mini that I paint. They are absolutely the bomb. Let's work on the face. We'll do the face and the arm. So, consistency is key. Need to make sure that our paint is thin enough that it won't distort our brush. Nothing will change with relation to its shape, because we need to have the control. Now, if we look at the doggo, the inside of his ears are nice and bright. We've got a little crease in there that we want to leave. I promise you I can't actually see his ear. Just not very well. So paint inside his ear. And then let's work on this cheek. So obviously we know that the hairs right at the outside part are going to be the brightest. So they can all get a good highlight on. Won't do so much up here. We'll do that one. Now, could you dry brush this? Yes, you could. If you wanted to do a job of it. We did dry brushing. We dry brushed part of a base on Tuesday night stream. Showed you guys how to dry brush properly. None of that attacking a model with one end of a brush. That's not how you dry brush. Alright. So because of that, we're not doing dry brushing here. Dry brushing is quite good for fur as well though, so this is the sort of thing that I would recommend that somebody dry brush. But this is definitely a better finish. Right, let's thin this down just a tad more. I get a little bit glazy. Not that glazy, fucking hell. It's a bit much glazy. I'm going to do the nose. So we want to leave a little bit of a brown gap between. You just see there's this little recess. No, you can't, because we're off stream. There you go. Let's paint like this. So you can just see there's this little recess here. We want to preserve that. There's also one just in there as well. You want to preserve part of it to help show the difference in shape in this area of his face. Like that. Next, we'll work in. Damn it. We'll work in. There you go. I've worked it out. I can lean forward here. All I've got to do is not headbutt the light, and we're okay. Just working around the cheek. Again, leave that recess between here and the eye. And so, answer the question that was in the chat a minute ago. You really don't like dry brushing, do you? I don't. I really don't, because most of the time it's done badly. And I think that as mini painters that are also content creators, we have a responsibility to educate people. Now, I could show you how to do dry brushing nicely again, but I'd rather just show you how to paint. Like, what we're doing here is essentially an exercise in brush control. And that's kind of it. That's the point of what we're doing now. But every now and again, somebody says, "My God, how do you paint so well? How do you get to doing what you're doing? How is this a thing?" It's by doing shit like this. Every single time your brush tip touches the mini, every time you learn something. It might be you don't learn very much at that particular juncture, because you're doing the same brush stroke that you've done 100,000 times. But it probably isn't, because you're probably not painting a mini that you've painted that many times before. And if you are, I feel really sorry for you. Having painted a lot of things like Goth Orcs and Ultramarines working for GW, I know exactly how much that can be like. But because you're probably not painting the same mini that you've painted hundreds and hundreds of times over and over, you're going to learn something every single time, whether it's just a bit of muscle memory, where it's like eureka moment of like, ah, shit, I could have just held the mini like that, and that brush stroke would have been so much fucking easier. And that brush control, you have to earn that. You've got to put the time in to get it. If you're someone that's just naturally got the muscle memory and the sort of dexterity needed for that, then hallelujah, man. Go you, because I certainly didn't. I have no talent whatsoever. I have skill. Liam Neeson quote, like, over a great many years, we learn a skill. Doggo! Do you think learn to highlight gives better results, but I think dry brushing has its place sometimes? So, Kets, we are nearly halfway through July. I have dry brushed one thing, which was a base, on Tuesday in all of this year. That's it. Where does... What place necessarily is dry brushing fall into? It falls into the I need to paint quickly step, possibly. But a couple of weeks ago, I painted 118 Nurgle Demon minis without a dry brush. Like, we didn't dry brush any part of that army, whether it came to the base or anything. None of that was dry brushed. So where do you need to dry brush? You don't need to. Dry brushing is a way of cutting a corner. And that's kind of it. So dry brush your housemate's base, that's twice. Yes, you're right. Okay, so we've dry brushed both Ben's base and we dry brushed the base on the Leviathan I painted for Nick. However, I just want to stress, and this is quite important, that dry brush technique was not done as the final part of a process. They were both dry brushed to allow some rough texture underneath weathering pigments. Now, that's a similar texture to using sketching on something. So, let's say, for instance, that you were establishing a set of values, like light and dark values on a mini. You could just sketch in quickly a load of white paint, and that shows you where light is hitting. That's not the final form, that's not what it's going to look like when it's done, that's just something you're doing to sort of give it some shape along the way. And that's why we did the dry brushing on that base for both of those two models I just mentioned. Because all we were doing with it was establishing some lights, getting those values put in. That's the size of it. A doggo. Dry rocks, that's about it. Maybe terrain for concrete or something. I tend to airbrush those, because then I can get a nice transition, a nice fade, a little bit of shade going on those. JB Gecko 13, thank you for that follow and welcome to the stream. But that's just my way. I also like to paint bases separately. Now on this guy we haven't been able to because his foot is actually part of this base, which is a real shame. But we're still going to airbrush all of this. We'll have no issues doing that. I mean, we airbrushed all of this and look at how much bone colour we got on the red. 0. So, easily doable. Easily doable. Right, his face is this bit. That took some finding. Don't an airbrush? I'm a hobo. That's alright, man. I didn't have one for about 20 odd years of painting, and then I had one, and I asked myself why I didn't have one for the previous 20 years. It's definitely a hobby tool that I recommend to everyone that is seriously into the miniature painting hobby. Gav Unit, thanks for that follow, dude, and welcome. Your paint / airbrush looks amazing. Thank you very much. That's really nice of you to say. As far as the airbrush work goes, though, I probably spend about 10 hours a week airbrushing, and about 40 hours a week with a brush in my hands. thing that a lot of people forget as soon as they pick up an airbrush is that this still exists, and that this still very definitely needs to be used. Whilst I can edge highlight with an airbrush in a pinch, and it depends on the mini, don't get me wrong, like, it's not like I could airbrush edge highlight some of this power armor. That's a little bit too far. But whilst I can do all that sort of stuff, you still absolutely need to use a brush. I see a lot of commission painting studios especially be very guilty of this, where they are just hammering minis out at a tabletop style quality, and all they've done is got the airbrush out. Now I can paint a night with an airbrush in 2 to 3 hours if I'm not worried about the quality. Doesn't mean it's good, right? It's on the list. Got to replace the fridge. Oh man, that's a hell of a bill as well. Not that there's ever a good time for a refrigerator to go, but it always happens at a bad time. And mine went. Bought the one that I've got now when a now ex-girlfriend of mine came to stay. She came from Sweden. Met her online playing Warcraft, and she came to stay for a week. And fucking day one, the fridge breaks. I'm like, shit, I had all these meals planned for the rest of the week. So now I'm cooking them all now. Fuck. It was, yeah, that was interesting. Fish, it's literally there in a box. I just haven't gotten to the post office. I've only got excuses, man. That's it. So I'm hoping tomorrow, because I just want to get it off my counter now. But I'm not going to promise that. The flaming... What? Flaming grainicorn. My god, that was so hard to work out. Welcome to the stream though, man. Thank you for dropping by. Whew. It will arrive one day, mate. It definitely will. Because my post office is in the local shop and shops are now open, it appears that people have forgotten that the virus is still a thing and just go and hang out in there. I'm like, move. Stop walking. This is a very tiny aisle. The store has a one-way system. Why are you walking down this aisle towards me? Stop it, turn around and fuck off. These are all things that I want to say, but apparently in polite society I'm not allowed to do these things. Right, so now we have one doggo fass. This is good. But it's not done. That's not done by a long shot. Obviously, we haven't put any highlights on the darker part. That still needs to happen. We also haven't put any highlights on the part we just painted. So let's do that. That's cool. The wolf is dead and still looks good. No dry brush. Right, Mammoth White highlight. This, everyone should have this. Absolutely everyone. This is one of the best pigments that you could ever use. It's from P3. A company called Privateer Press. Their paints are amazing, just flat out for me. I love their stuff. They've got crazy pigment strength. They're just legitimately good. But this is awesome, and I use it in a lot of stuff. It's obviously great for highlights, for any kind of bone. So we're getting a cheekbone, we're getting just a part of, just a little bit of that eye. Not the eyeball itself, just the lower eyelid. king of all lurkers is now following. Nice, man. Nice. AJ Wilder 94 says, hey, nice looking Ragnar. Just finished mine. Just completing the infiltrators now. Oh, nice, sweet. Nice. Very nice. Kets, yeah, man, it's rough. Thursday is the day we do our shopping, like our food shopping. So I made it out of the house today wearing sunglasses on a cloudy day at fucking 7:30 in the morning, looking like the king of all douchebags. Not fun. And then walked around the store wearing sunglasses, again, looking like a gigantic douchebag. But even at that time of day, there were still people just milling about. This one woman stood in front of the bananas for about 30 seconds, just sort of staring at them, before I eventually said, can you move? Mila Splart says, I have struggles with power swords with no airbrush. These ones here, the altering ones, that was no airbrush. It's actually easy. Wait before you scoff. Like, honestly, I promise you, it is easy. It just takes a lot of time. Essentially, what you're doing is you're applying a slow series of glazes built up. So what you've got to really do is control that brushstroke. That's it. There's no super hard technique involved. It's one of those things that takes practice. The things to look out for are paint consistency. Those glazes need to be glazes. You also need to not overload your paintbrush. If you've got so much paint on your paintbrush that it starts to deform and warp to be able to hold on to that paint, you've got too much paint on your brush. Just take some of that off, get it on your palette, use a kitchen roll, a little bit of tissue, whatever you've got, remove some of that paint from your brush. Otherwise you'll flood the area you're trying to paint, and that's no good for you because you'll get tide marks then. That's terrible. The underachiever DM, change my name, hopefully a bit easy to read. I promise every stream we're trying to mate, I'm dyslexic as they come. Were you the flaming grainicorn? Because now I've got it. So I think I was the worst one to get for that one. It was a cool name though. How do you know it's a glaze or not? Okay. I'll tell you what, here's what we'll do, right? Because we won't do a whip, guys. I'm struggling just even looking at this, if I'm honest. We won't do a whip. We will make sure we do one on Sunday. We're going to finish the stream soon, but before we go, I will give you a quick lesson on glazes, and it will be a quick lesson. We'd normally last till 11:30. We're going to cut the stream an hour short because I am dying. It's just the aftermath of a migraine. So, I feel a bit sick, but we're alright. Just need some more time. What have I got? I could actually apply some glazes. Oh, is there anything? Nothing springs to mind. Just trying to think of if there's any half-painted minis in the cabinet behind me. I don't think there is. But there is our doggo face. We've done the white parts, the brighter parts. We've done some shades and everything else. Let's just knock the... Come on, camera. Shit. There we go. Turn down the exposure a little bit. Stop that blowing out. You can see we've got that brightest part of that doggo face looking pretty sweet. Because no dry brush. Notice also carpet glaze on that. That's got a different finish on it. Okay. So here is Stormcast Man from Shadespire. That took a minute. Actually, this guy's a bright dude. Let's lower that back down. So all of this was done with the airbrush because I like to airbrush. We've established this quite definitely. I like to airbrush. What I will do though, is that any part of this we can just get, not without a lot of work. That's kind of a stream by itself. All right, this facing of the hammer, yeah. Meridius blue and sickly skin. How do we know when something is a glaze or not? Well, that all comes down to your paint consistency. First thing you want to do is set up your palette. When you're working with any glazes, set up your working area. And when you're starting out, the best way to do it, here's my wet palette. We've got Meridius blue. We got some sickly skin. Don't need much, a little goes a long way, especially when you're glazing, because most of it is going to be this, which is just water. So, 2 blobs of water. Why are there 2 blobs of water? Because it's 2 different colours. Take some of this, put a dot there, soak up some water. Right, what you've got there isn't a glaze. Okay, look at the consistency of paint. If I just, that is not a glaze. To some people that might look like one, may behave a little bit like one. What you've got there isn't a glaze. What you've got there is a wash. Be thinner than that for a glaze. So then you take some of this, move it here. You thin that even more. Now you should be able to get to the point where you can kind of move the whole thing around in one go, right? Notice how we're kind of wringing our brush out. Got to keep doing that. Don't want to get too much paint on your brush. If you do, it's bad. And do the same with our sickly skin. So that's our wash. This is our glaze. Yeah, again, you see you can sort of move quite a lot of that around in one go. Bring out the brush. Now what we want to do is actually mix those two. So then you take a little of this. And I should have washed my brush out, but fuck it. A little of that. Now you've got a mid-tone between the two. Alright. Pop that to one side. Now I'm going to keep mixing elements of one, okay, before we go any further. Why have I done this? Easy, right? It's because when I want to refill this, I take from here and add a little water, rather than taking from here, putting it there and adding the water and water and water and water and water and water. Yeah? Let's keep things simple. We've got it half thinned. Also, it means that if we really need to really darken the shade, we can go from here onto the mini. We never want to go from here onto the mini. Ever. Drunk Mystic, what up? We've then got our darkest shade, our mid-tone, and our highlight. And then this will be a quick lesson on glazing. So we're going to go with our mid-tone first and just see what's going on, right? All I've done is pick up enough to load my brush. That brush still conforms to an absolutely perfect point. If it doesn't, too much paint. That's the way glazes work. If it distends your brush, cat hair, if it distends your brush, there's too much on there. You then paint, working from the darkest point up to the lightest point. There's too much paint on the mini, that means there's too much paint on my brush. Actually, I just realised what it means is I gloss varnished this shoulder pad. That's what that means. Let's remove that. Shoulder pad's not going to be a good area for this. It's been a minute since we did any work on this guy. Fuck it. Ta-da! And the glaze is gone. Bollocks, I gloss varnished everything. Alright, let's try again on the hammer, because at least we're working with a similar kind of bright tones. What we're going to do is just going to widen out this highlight just so you can see it. So we feather everything up towards the brightest point. Alright, so we go from the dark area up towards the bright area. If you're glazing the highlight, you always do it this way. If you're glazing in a shadow, obviously you do it the other way. Sorry. There you go. So let's do that one again. Bringing that highlight upwards. Like so. Now we've just gone from having a beautifully smooth transition, because I airbrushed it, to this jagged transition. What we need to do now is darken it down. So we take some of our blue that doesn't have the sickly skin in, start in the middle, and bring it downwards. Now obviously you want to make sure your paint is dry, but I am not turning the fucking hairdryer on. Not. I can't deal with that again. Not today. Notice how now we've got that nice smooth gradient again, and that's all that glazing is. It's that back and forth process. So let's say you've done that 100 times. 100 up, 100 down, and you've managed to get a nice smooth transition there. Your next step is getting that right smooth transition up here. So now we're on to our sickly skin wash. And we'll again glaze that right in up to the corner. As before, you'll notice that there is going to be that horrid line that starts to appear in between. Kind of tricky to see. Actually, it is very tricky to see. Yeah, if you don't wait for it to dry, you end up with paint tears. And what a paint tear is where the top layer of paint has dried, so the very top part is dry. The bit underneath it hasn't, and as soon as your brush touches that paint, it picks it up and it starts to drag that top layer away, that dry layer. And you get tears in a mini. When you do that, if you're painting a power sword, it's fucked. Don't get me wrong, you can fix it, but fuck it, start again, it's quicker. That's how much of a pain that is, and that's why you need to dry it. But again, to remove that line, you then go on with your mid-tone. Now, rather than going all the way down this time, you start about here, and you brush downwards towards the middle. Because what you're doing is you're blending from the lightest point that you've got into that middle point. You don't want it to go towards the dark point, not quite. So you're doing that. I didn't let this dry very well. Now you can see we've got a tide mark. But this helps serve our example, because now we take some of that darker paint. I had way too much on my brush. Take some of the darker paint, and you glaze that back down across there. Don't let it pull. Pick up anything that's still sort of outstanding. and you keep doing that until you've got the blend that you want. And that's basically it with power swords. You just keep doing that shit with a hairdryer, dry each layer. It takes me about an hour and a half to paint a blade. One side. Alright. Takes me an hour and a half to paint a blade if we're doing one transition, dark to light, on both sides of the blade, on both sides at the same time. If you're doing like one up, one down, and on the reverse the other side, that's probably about 2 hours. If you're doing the ripple effect, 4 hours, 5 hours. It's a bit of a process. Right, I hope it wasn't just you that found that interesting or useful. I hope a few people did. It's not something that I do very often, simply because I have an airbrush and I can make that shit work really, really fast. So instead of all the work we've done on this mini, we did in one stream. So 2.5 hours while we're chatting on stream. And in that stream, we also airbrushed 2 other dudes to try different effects on the armor panels as well. So we did a lot in the stream. We painted this guy, and look at the hammer. That's a beautiful hammer. Or we could have painted just this one face out of all of that bit of hammer for an entire stream, which would have been boring. So my number one tip for anyone painting power swords is buy an airbrush. Don't buy minis for a month. You've got a pile of shame. Get through it. Yeah? If there's anyone that's watching this right now, that's been collecting for, say, over a year, that doesn't have minis still on sprue or still in an unpainted state, then tell me in chat, and you'll be lying to me. So work some of your backlog. Get that cleared, save up, buy an airbrush. Get shit done quick. Let's find someone to raid. I'm going to go and crash. I can't find my bookmark. There it is. Yeah, you'll do. Right, do me a favour. Someone apologise for the fact that I'm not there. I'm literally going to press this, and I'm going to end my stream in 10 seconds. Guys, I'm really, really sorry for the abrupt finish tonight. I am dying on my ass. I had a migraine yesterday. Still dealing with the after effects of it today. We're toast now. I will see you Sunday, live at 9 o'clock UK time, if you want to come back for some more, where we will have a much more entertaining stream, I promise you. Peace out, everyone. We'll see you there.